Just then, there was some noise. We turned our heads to see Caroline standing on the stairs. She looked at us for some time then turned to leave. She really is a disgrace. So where were we? Lahaina said and stared at Aaron with a huge bitchy smile on her face. I was saying, I'll marry your daughter. I cut him off. Oh yeah, and now it was his turn to snub me. But not this one, Aaron said, giving a disgusted look to Lahaina. She stared back at him with wide eyes and I was too shocked to do anything. The other one, he completed his sentence, looking at me right in the eye. What does that mean? I sat there with my mouth open, not able to understand what he actually meant. Carter, give him the papers, Aaron said to the man sitting on his right. He searched for something in his bag, then took out a file. The same file which Ethan and I made for this agreement. Here it is, Mr. Marshall. According to these papers, if Mr. Woodwards marry your daughter, he takes over his company completely, otherwise you get it all. So he is willing to marry your daughter, Caroline Marshall. The man called Carter finished saying and Aaron smirked. No, it stated Lahaina Marshall, I said with a frown. Aaron took the papers out of Carter's hand, roughly, and threw them near me. Does it? Aaron smiled, his eyes not leaving my face for even a moment. I picked them up and turned them to check it. It had taken a lot to convince Ethan to get them signed by his son, and I had taken measures. I clearly mentioned Lahaina's name on it. I started to read it, but everywhere it just stated James Marshall's daughter and not any name of Lahaina. But I had checked it. I shouted and placed the file on the table and looked up to Aaron. He was smirking. That bastard. You changed it. Of course I did. Aaron smiled at me. Just a mere difference of name and no one realized it. Until now. You even tricked your father. What kind of a son are you? I raised my voice, trying to make him feel guilty. Look who's talking, he said in a calm voice, tilting his head to a little left. How dare you do this to me? Lahaina yelled and stood up. She was sitting at her place numb after Aaron announced about Caroline. Oh sweetheart, why don't you just leave and try to find another billionaire for you? One who is stupid enough to fall for your cheap tricks. Aaron said sweetly. You do. Lahaina started to say, but Aaron stopped her mid-sentence. Leave before I make you. Aaron threatened her, with a deadly voice. I won't leave this time, I stopped her. Just go away, Lahaina. I shouted at her and she left, stomping her foot on the ground, not before giving me a dangerous I will talk to you later look. I looked at the papers for one more time, not believing he could do something like this. I had thought he was completely in the palm of my hand, but what are you waiting for? Sign them, Aaron said, breaking my chain of thoughts. What if I don't? I don't lose anything, I said confidently. That you don't according to the contract. But if you don't sign it, I'll take back the shares I invested in your small little company. I'll go bankrupt. Exactly. So, you better sign them. Now, he said in a cold voice that made me shift a little in my place. I thought for a while, if I sign the papers, Caroline marries him instead. But as Caroline is extremely naive and can be easily manipulated, it won't be too difficult to get Aaron's money from her. I quickly took a pen and signed the deal before he could change his decision. I smiled happily at Aaron. This won't be that bad. If he wants to marry that whore, his choice. If I can't get his money using Lahaina, I'll get it using Caroline. Okay then, you don't have to worry about anything now. I'll talk to your dad about the changes and even to Caroline about. He cut me off in between. I will talk to Caroline, he warned, stressing on the I more than required, daring me to say no. As you wish. Congratulations. I smiled and put my hand forward for a shake. Aaron looked at me as if I had lost my mind. I turned to Carter, who had an amused expression on his face. I turned back to Aaron. He sat there comfortably, as if he owns it all, not taking my hand. I cleared my throat and pulled my hand back, humiliated by his act. He got up from the sofa while Carter collected the papers and all. It was wonderful to have you here, Aaron, I said as he turned back to leave. It's still Mr. Woodwards for you, he roared, pointing with his index finger at me, before turning on his heels and leaving. I had thought, manipulating Caroline will be easy, but now thinking about Mr. Woodwards, will it be? But what? Caroline said, urging me to continue. He rejected Lahaina, I stated, shaking my head. What? She asked with wide eyes. He wants to marry you and not her, I finally said and heard her gasp. So, lovely people. Happy? How was it? Okay, so, finally the time is here. Any ship names for Aaron and Caroline? What do you think of Aaron now? And James? How is Caroline going to react? Don't forget to vote, comment and share. Love you, Aldi. Blooming Rose 18. Chapter 18. Yes, Caroline's POV. I sat there numb by hearing Dad's words. This is not what I expected to hear. I had thought he would inform me of Lahaina's wedding or yell at me, but there was silence for almost 5 minutes. When Dad's phone buzzed and he quickly answered it, seeing the caller ID. Yes, I got her. She's sitting in front of me. Oh yes, don't worry. Tell him she's with me. Yes, okay, he said to whoever was on the other end and placed his phone on the desk furiously. He was about to say something, but his phone started to ring again and he picked it up. Again, seeing the number, he cleared his throat and answered as much more politely. But, okay, here, he said, and forwarded his phone towards me to take it. I sat there confused when he glared at me in anger and I took it from his hand. As I put the phone near my ear, he got up from his chair and went out, slamming the door behind him. Did he go? I heard Aaron's voice as I placed it to my ear. Yes, I said, confused and shocked of what just happened. Where were you all these days and where is your phone? Aaron asked. I can easily make out from his voice that he is trying not to shout. I was actually with Nadia, my best friend, I said uncomfortably. For 4 days? Without a phone? He said, sounding angry now. Actually, I started to say but trailed off. I want to meet you. I know that, Ash. I mean, James must have told you about my proposal, he said, his voice softer. My heartbeat fastened as I thought about it again. He wants to marry me. How is that even possible? I'm clearly not his type. Why? Yes, but no buts, Caroline. We can talk about it when we meet. I'll send my car at your place at. He paused, maybe looking at his watch. 8 sharp. Okay, I whispered, more to myself. I'm sorry for what happened at the charity event. I can assure you all that was not what it seemed to be. I have a perfect explanation for it. He sighed. It's okay, I said, not wanting to go back to that day. No, it's not. I hurt you. I'll make it all right, he said. See you tonight. I hummed and chirped a bye before he ended the call. Was he doing this because he hurt me that day? No, that's really a super stupid reason for marrying someone. But am I ready for marriage? Will I be able to do it? I promised not to get attached to any male, and I have already experienced how horrible it felt when I saw him at the event with Lahaina. Will I be able to hold myself together if he does something like that again? I have seen Mom's and Dad's relationship. It was not even a relationship. He used to strike her daily when all Mom did was to love him with all her heart. He even left her for someone else. I know Aaron is nowhere like Dad, but will I be able to give all of myself to him? I won't be able to handle it if he left me someday, when I'm be madly in love with him. I don't want to go through the things that my mom went through. I don't want